Hello all, myself Dr. Achal Kaushik, Bhagwan Parshuram Institute of Technology. Today's topic is secondary memory and its uses. If you can recollect, in the previous unit we have discussed about the main memory. These are mostly the semiconductor RAMs and ROMs. These high speed semiconductor devices are not only expensive but has few limitations, maybe in terms of their capacity and the volatile nature, and because of that they are not being used properly for large storage and for persistent storage. For very that reason, in today's era where a lot of data is being daily harvested and need to be stored by the user, these main memories are not sufficient for that, and for that we need to have additional memory other than these main memories, which should be inexpensive, which should be long lasting, and they should be stored permanently. Now, magnetic material is inexpensive and quite long lasting material which is generally being used for permanent non-volatile storage. Now, if I recollect with the idea that there are different types of secondary storages available. They may be magnetic tapes, magnetic disks, optical disks, and recently invented flash memories. If we just start taking the idea first from the magnetic memory, so they could be of two types. We may have magnetic disks or we may be having magnetic tapes. In case of magnetic disks, we have further division in terms of hard disk and floppy disk. If we talked about hard disk drives, they are very prevalent and being used and come with any computer system for the storage purposes. Basic architecture, if we see of any hard disk, it contains magnetic disks. We also call them platters. These platters rotate on common axis and the rotating speed is between 5400 to 7200 rotation per minute. Now, they are being magnetic devices, they are coated with magnetic substance for recording the data. For each surface, it has additional read-write head. These head moves along the radius of the platter, and also the surface is divided into concentric rings that we call as tracks. Generally these tracks are of the order of 800 to 1000. Now each track in turn further divided into sectors, which may be 10 to 100 sectors per track. Now typically these sectors hold 512 byte of data. Now if we just look at this point of time, these 512 byte of data are basically the smallest memory component which is being transferred from disk to the main memory. Now each surface is divided similarly into these track sector. This means head for one surface is on a track with corresponding track on other surface. That means subsequently we are forming the tracks all together as a cylinder. Now there is very important concept of these cylinders in the data organization of the hard disk. That is, if we are performing operations using some file, then the content of that file need to be fetched from the disk to the main memory most often. Now if the content of these files are available at different location on the hard disk, every time there is the fetching of the portion of data file from the secondary memory to the main memory, and it is a time consuming job. Now for very that reason, the content of the same file generally being kept on the same cylinder for the efficiency, because all the heads are lying along with the same cylinder areas. Now the head movement combined with the rotation of the platter allows the head to access all part of the surface. Now see, as what we have discussed, that this surface have the concentric circles, tracks, and these tracks are divided into the sectors. So data may be available through these sectors. So now to get the data accessed from these disks, we need to move the head along the track's radius, and then we need to rotate the platter to get to know the exact location of the data available on a particular sector. Now the processor and the actual disk is communicating through a disk controller. So without getting into the detailed complexity of accessing the information, all these things are taken care by the disk controller to fetch the information from the disk. Now to find a given place on the hard disk, it would require disk surface number, because as what we have discussed that there are number of platters which are stacked one over the other to increase the storage capacity of any disk. So to get the information from the hard disk, we need to know that which disk surface is to be accessed. Then after getting the information of the disk number, we need to get the information on which track we have to search the data. And thirdly, the sector number on which we have to access the data. And because of this reason, these magnetic disks are generally having semi-random access, or we call it semi-random devices. That is, a track on the disk is selected at random by just moving the ARM assembly in random fashion, and then data is written to or read from the sector in a serial fashion. Now just take out that how we calculate the capacity, density and speed of any disk. So suppose we have a hard disk drive pack which has n plates. Now they are the parallel plates or platers which are stacked over one another, right. If there are n stack, that means the total number of recording surface is twice of n. Let me take it as m, because on both sides we have the coating for storage of data. Then we have T tracks per surface. Let me take P as the sectors per track. Then we have the S bytes per sectors, and let me take the R rotation per minute, that how quickly the disk is going to rotate to get the data, and let me take the diameter of the disk as D. Now we can calculate the storage capacity of the disk by taking the number of recording surfaces, the tracks on the surface, the number of sectors per track and the bytes stored per track. So it would be multiplication of m times T times P times S number of bytes. Now if we need to find out the density of the recording, then it would be the capacity of the disk divided by the circumference of the disk. So we can simply take it S, that is bytes per sector, times P, that is sector per track, and divided by 2 pi radius, or if we have the diameter D, so we can divide it by pi times D. So byte per inch we would be getting the density of the recording. And lastly, if we need to find out that how we can transfer the data and what would be the data transfer rate for the disk, then we need to calculate the number of heads and the capacity of one track times number of rotation in 1 second. So this will give me the data transfer rate of that disk. It is to be calculated, the number of rotation to be calculated in 1 second, and generally we have the rotation per minute being the characterized of the disk. So we can make it m times P times S times R divided by 60 bytes per second. Now there is another component which is making quite a contribution in terms of accessing the information from the disk, that is access time on these disks. Now access time are semi-random as what we have discussed, because track selection is random but the sector selection is serial. So as soon as the read write command is received by the disk controller, the read write head moves on to the specified track, or we can call it as a cylinder. Now this is being done by moving the ARM assembly along the radius of the disk. Now time required to position the head over the proper track is called the seek time. That is, head on the specified surface is thus activated once we reach to a proper track. Now since the disk is continuously rotating, the head should wait for the desired data to come under its read-write head. So the rotational waiting time, that is the time required to bring the needed data. Now this should be the starting position of the address onto the sector. Now this should come under the read-write head, and this is called as the latency time. Now generally in any disk, the latency time depends on two factors. First factor is the distance of the desired data from the initial position, and second, that is the rotational speed of the disk. Now based on these two factors, we can calculate the latency time. Now the total access time would be the seek time plus the latency time. So generally the average access time for most of the disk system is fall between 10 to hundreds of milliseconds. Now another type of magnetic disk that what we use is floppy disk. Now floppy disk is again a magnetic diskette which consists of thin polyester film covered with iron oxide. Now basically it has only single disk, rather than we have in hard disk drive we have number of platters, but here we have only one platter which is being protected inside the hard plastic jacket. Now it actually comes in two different sizes. One is 3.5 inches and another one is 5.25 inches, and they have variable capacity, but their capacity is very low. I mean of the order of 1.44 megabyte for 3.5 inches floppy drive disk, and for 5.25 inches floppy drive disk it is only 1.2 megabyte. The rotational speed is also low. It is of the order of 360 rotation per minute, and access time is also of the order of few hundred milliseconds. Now with the advent of the flash drives, they are almost outdated and not being used, but earlier they used with the older computer system for the purpose of even the bootable devices being made through them. Now another type of magnetic devices are the magnetic tapes. Now these are one of the types which are accessing the information in sequential manner. Now that means we cannot jump to the exact location because the data is stored in the magnetic tape drive through the magnetized ports on the iron oxide coating of the plastic tape. Now they are generally being used for backups in servers, and they are cheaper and they provide unlimited storage. Because of their cost factor, they are still widely being used for storing of large amount of data, but they have their main drawback in terms of that the information is accessed sequentially. Probably you must have seen in earlier days we have the tapes systems. They are basically deal with the same manner. In the tapes, if we have to play a particular song, which is the fourth song, then we have to either do the fast forward or execute all the previous songs to reach there. The same concept is being used in these magnetic tapes once we call that they are accessed sequentially. Now other than these magnetic devices, the secondary storage are comprises of the optical memories. They are very much alternative of the masked storage devices that what we have discussed in terms of the magnetic devices, and they have the huge capacity. The information is written or read from these optical device using the laser beam. In fact, high density is achieved through the tightly focused lasers which can access very small storage area of the disk. Now these optical disks are relatively inexpensive and they have the large life of at least 15 years if we are not getting any scratch on their head. Now since the read-write head does not touch the disk surface, so there is no problem of disk wear and also of the head crash. But the main drawback of the optical memories are they are also slow, having slow average access times. But in general we have various types of optical memories. Now they may be CD-ROM, CD recordable ROMs, we have the erasable discs, and then we have the DVDs. Now, if we talk about the CD-ROM, they are 12 centimeter compact disc or generally 4.7 inch compact disc, and each disc can store data more than 600 MB. A master disk is first prepared where a laser record data by burning permanent microscopic pits in a spiral track. Now, the writing of the disk is generally taken care with a laser system of high energy, roughly 25 megawatts for writing, and then once the master disk is prepared, then the other CD-ROMs are produced on mass scale from that. Now, the CD-ROM disk drives use a laser beam of less intensity, roughly 5 megawatt, for reading these binary codes formed by those pits. Now, the tracks are divided into blocks of same size, so CD-ROM disk rotates at variable speed. Now, if we contrast it to the magnetic disk where we have the sectors in equal number, so amount of the density with which they are being stored is different across the circumference. Now, in the case of CD-ROM, the speed of the disk need to be adjusted in such a way that the track possessed under the read-write head should have a constant linear velocity. Now, we have advantages of these CD-ROMs in terms of their high capacity, they are cheap, and because they can easily removable from the system, so can be taken up for the backups. But at the same time, they have their disadvantages, and mostly that is in terms of its longer access time. This is because of the reason that the location of the desired address involves moving of the head to the specified area, and then we need to adjust the rotating speed. But since the information cannot be updated here, so they are also being referred as read-only permanent memory. The advanced version of these were the CD recordables, where we call it WORM, where write once and read many times devices. The advantages of these disks are that by making use of the hardware, we can write the data once. So, once the data has been written over there, then the data cannot be changed. So, they also becomes the read only. They are having most of the features the same as of the simple CD-ROM. Now, the next version of the optical devices is in terms of erasable optical discs, where CD rewritable discs, which are very famous in terms of uses, because user can read the data, write the data, and that process can be repeated, not only the reading but writing, where the system can record and erase data by using a laser to heat a microscopic point on the disk surface. So, they are again having all the properties being same as of the earlier CD-ROM and CD readable but recordable, but the concept here is that they can be used multiple times in terms of storing information. And lastly, we have the DVD-ROMs. These DVD-ROMs are standing for digital video disc or digital versatile disc. They are offering more capacities, maybe in terms of 4.7 gigabytes or 8.5 gigabytes or even up to 20 GB. Now, the capacity depends on that how the orientation is in terms of whether they are single layer, double layer, single side recorded or double side recorded. Now, DVD uses the laser beam of shorter wavelength than CD-ROMs, so that allows them to have the more tracks. Working principle of DVD discs are same as of the CD-ROM, CD recordable or the CD rewritables, but the important concept here is that the DVD RAMs uses the phase change technology for reading, writing and erasing data. Now, other than these, nowadays we have the Blu-ray discs coming into the market, which are widely being used for the purpose of storing videos and the datas. These are using the laser rays for reading and writing, and they allow the storage up to 50 GB of data. Other than that, we have holographic versatile disks, HVDs, available in the market. They even store data up to 3.5 terabytes. But these things, like we talked about the floppy drives or these optical drives, the basic purpose of them was for the storage purposes or for the bulk storage or for the backup purposes. But nowadays, with the advent of the flash storages in terms of USB and PAN drives, which offers up to 1 terabyte of data, these devices are becoming redundant. Now, because these devices, that is PAN drives, or even sometimes we have the memory cards up to 128 gigabytes of storage, so they are very much sufficient to replace the concept of your floppy drives and the optical drives. Now, this is all about your secondary devices. Just quickly recollect with the things what we have discussed in this unit. We have discussed about the memory organization, in which we have started about the various devices which generally being used for the purpose of storage, where we have the memory devices are generally being used for the purpose of execution, that is the main memory, cache memory or the CPU memory, and then we have the secondary devices which are generally being used for the storage purposes, which are external to the system and being used for storage and taking backups. They have their own limitations, they have their own advantages in terms of speed, in terms of cost, and in terms of the usability. And for that reason, we have discussed the memory hierarchy, that any computer user may decide that what could be the configuration of a system which can easily mitigate the requirements of processing. Thank you.